Good evening. Welcome into the Boulevard Brewing Company post-game drink. I'm Gabe DeArmond. Mizzou, a 48-35 homecoming winner over the University of North Texas. Over the next, little while, hour, 2 hours, whatever it might take, we're going to break it down. We're going to take your calls. We're going to talk about it. Before we do that, let me draw your attention down there to the bottom right-hand corner. That is the Boulevard Brewing Company logo. They make this show possible every single week by providing their sponsorship. And, hopefully they make your game day a little bit more enjoyable with some of their products. You can pick them up anywhere in Columbia, anywhere in the state of Missouri, really anywhere in the Midwest. Obviously, plenty of different beers and good selections there, but they've also got the Fling cocktails. They've got some Quark seltzer. I actually saw that somewhere on tap here recently. So all kinds of boulevards you can try, and we certainly encourage you to do that. Some of you may be doing it tonight because I had one idea for this show. About an hour ago, I thought I'd come in here and say, it wasn't exciting, but maybe just what Missouri needed is kind of boring, workmanlike, you got the job done. And then the fourth quarter happened, and Missouri was dreadful on both sides of the football. For the last, I would say 20 minutes of that game, 25 minutes of that game, Missouri was outplayed on both sides by North Texas. And if you choose to look at it as, hey, well, Missouri was up big and, they took the foot off the gas and they were up 31-7 and it didn't really matter after that, I guess if that's how you want to look at it, that's fine. I just don't agree. They got outscored 28-17 in the second half by a bad offensive football team. And by the way, 7 of Missouri's 17 points came from the defense. Missouri did not have an offensive touchdown until Dawson Downing's 60-yard run with about 5.5 minutes left. They had one first down to that point. So as bad as the defense was in the second half, and it was bad, the offense actually was worse. And again, if you choose to focus on, hey, it was 31-7 and it's sunshine and rainbows, that's fine. I don't, because we did that after SEMO. And this is different because I don't think it was a bunch of backups. The starters were playing, and Missouri wasn't getting anything done on either side of the football. On offense, Tyler Beatty didn't play the last couple drives. And so maybe that means the starters weren't playing because I think that's about all Missouri has on offense. But Connor Bazelak was in there. The starting receivers were in there. The starting line was in there. And Missouri was doing nothing on offense. On defense, Eli Drinkwitz was very clear. There are no starters. And this wasn't backups giving up a bunch of yards to North Texas. This was the guys that they need to be good. We're going to take a couple looks at the stats, then we'll get to your comments, then we'll open up the phone lines. For the game, North Texas outgained Missouri. And again, if you want to say, well, those yards came in garbage time, but did they? Because that game wasn't really over until Dawson Downing had the 60-yard run with 5.5 minutes left. And then it almost wasn't over again because Missouri gave up the huge touchdown pass, 70-some-odd yards. And it wasn't really over until Michael Cox recovered an onside kick with 3:46 left. 186 rushing yards, it's better. The run defense was better. It wasn't great, but it was better. It was certainly not what it was against Tennessee. I mean, North Texas, they had 186 yards rushing, but they took 49 runs to get there. So that's only 3.8 yards a carry. The run defense was better. North Texas had thrown for fewer than 100 yards in 2 consecutive games. They put up 305 against Missouri. And was that a little bit of, hey, they're throwing because they're behind? Sure. But let me read you the lines for the 2 starting quarterbacks. Austin Aune, 16 of 26, 305 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 195.5. Connor Bazelak, 21 of 32, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a quarterback rating of 128.3. North Texas can't throw the football, and they had the better quarterback and the better receivers in this game. They were the better passing team in this game. They came into this game having thrown for fewer than 100 yards in 2 consecutive games, those were losses to UAB and Louisiana Tech. This team got beat 35-12 by SMU, 40-6 by UAB, and 24-17 by Louisiana Tech. They had scored 35 points in their first 3 games against FBS competition. They scored 35 points in this game alone against Missouri, and 28 of them were in the second half. All while Missouri's offense was dreadful in the second half. So again, if you choose to focus on they were up 31-7, that's fine. But to me, this team is not good enough to put it on cruise control and ignore a second half in which it got dominated. Is that too strong a word? In which it got beat by North Texas. They're not good enough to do that. After 3 quarters, I felt pretty decent about this game. It was 31-14. You figured Missouri would probably win like 38-21, which is what I picked, and you thought that's fine. And then the fourth quarter came, and they gave up 21 points, and I just don't feel that way anymore. I feel far worse about this game than I thought I was going to feel about it with 15 minutes left. I don't know if that's fair or not. I'm just telling you kind of what my gut reaction is. That's what this show is. We get on here without a lot of prep. It is instant reaction. And my instant reaction is that wasn't really very good. That wasn't what I needed to see to make me feel like Tennessee was completely flushed and everything was better. Maybe you guys feel differently. I'm going to turn to the comments here in just a second, and we are going to see exactly how you guys feel. You can see the notes there. Tyler Beatty, career high 217 yards and 3 touchdowns. By the way, where's this offense without him? And he's going to be gone next year, so we might find out. But without him, Missouri's offense might be as bad as its defense because there's really not much else there right now. Mekhi Wingo, in what actually turned out to be maybe the biggest play of the game, caught a pass that Trajan Jeffcoat deflected for his first career interception, returned it about 35 yards for a touchdown. That was huge. Again, the second half happened. Thought it was good to see Wingo play well for the most part. I thought it was good to see Trajan Jeffcoat show up a little bit and make a couple plays. But again, the fourth quarter happened, and we'll see how you guys feel about it. I'm going to start rolling through some of the comments here from you guys before I open the phone lines and we take your calls on Skype. Tircell says, if ever there was a brutal win, that was it. 500 yards given up to a nearly winless team. I kind of agree. I mean, you don't apologize for winning, and there are no style points, but I don't really know how you come out of that one feeling all that good. Craig disagrees with me. Great win. What a day. 13-point victory. I don't know if that's sarcasm or serious. If that's how you feel, that's great. I don't tend to really agree with it. Cole says the starting D only gave up 14. And see, I don't agree with that. There was no starting defense. Hang on. That's what I get for having ESPN scoreboard open in the background. It just randomly blasts music at me sometimes. Sorry about that. But starting D only gave up 14. That's not really true. It was still a lot of the same guys. I mean, when, in the fourth quarter, Jeffcoat and Wingo were playing and Whiteside was playing, I saw Martez Manuel on the field on that long touchdown. Also, who are the starters for this defense, right? I mean, you've got a group of 22 guys that play, or it's probably not that many. It's probably 18 or 19, but I don't know who's a starter and who's not because I don't really know who's better. The first half was clearly better than the second half, but it was the same guys playing. Bryce says, how do you not fire Wilkes tomorrow? I just don't see it because they fired Jethro Franklin, and that was the we need to make a move. We're going to make a move. I mean, look, anybody that believed that all of the problems were the defensive line coach, come on. It was the low man on the totem pole who got fired. He was the sacrifice. And again, I'm not saying Jethro didn't deserve to get fired. Defensive line has been bad. But anybody that thought Al Davis replacing Jethro Franklin was just going to fix all this, I mean, that's ridiculousness. If he fires Wilkes tomorrow, there's no next move other than firing the head coach. If you fire the defensive coordinator tomorrow, then the only next move is the head coach could lose his job. And I just think it's too early to start going down that road. I think Wilkes is going to get the year. And I don't really have a problem with it because is Missouri suddenly going to be much better if they fire Steve Wilkes tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, they'll beat Vandy. They could beat South Carolina. I think they could beat Texas A&M because I don't think Texas A&M's any good either. But even if we say no, I mean, I don't know. Is firing Steve Wilkes the difference there? They're not beating Georgia. They're not beating Florida. And after watching today, they're not beating Arkansas either. Arkansas's got a lot more firepower than I gave them credit for. Arkansas is a lot better team than I gave them credit for. Missouri's ceiling is 6-6, and that requires beating Texas A&M. I don't think they get there, but I don't think firing Steve Wilkes or not firing Steve Wilkes is what determines that. Again, scheme or players, the answer is yes. It's everything. It's all bad. And again, I know it seems weird on an offense that had 472 points or 472 yards and 48 points, actually 41 because the defense scored 7, but that offense was awful in the second half. It was every bit as bad as the defense was until the Dawson Downing 60-yard touchdown run. Jared says the defense is going to get thrashed this week. It could, but I mean Texas A&M is really bad offensively. But North Texas was really bad offensively coming in too. Again, North Texas had scored 35 points in 3 games against FBS competition. They scored 35 today. So Brian McLaughlin, very impressive. I suppose, if that's what you feel. Breakfast King, kind of agree with what you're saying. That was ugly. Not Tennessee ugly, but ugly. I agree. No question there. I'm wondering if they can beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's been outscored 106-0 in 2 SEC games. I don't know. Combo says Bazelak can no longer be QB1, and I'm sure we'll talk about this some. And today was revealing, I think. I was having conversations with people during the game, and I don't know the answer to this. I said, is this the offense because of the quarterback, or is this the offense because this is the offense? And I want to say not just because of the quarterback, because of the quarterback and receivers. Connor Bazelak averaged 5 yards an attempt. That is, like, astronomically low. I don't know if things can be astronomically low, but that is. Like, the worst you should be is probably 6.5. In college, maybe even a little better than that. 5 yards an attempt is, I mean, that's, Missouri averaged 8.1 yards a run, and they averaged 5 yards per pass. If you go with the team total, it was actually a little under 5 yards per pass. And that includes a 41-yard touchdown to J.J. Hester. Fully 25% of their passing yardage came on one play. The other 20 completions went for 119 yards. That is less than 6 yards per completion. It's less than 4 yards per attempt if you take out the Hester touchdown. I mean, Kiki Chisholm, 4 for 31. Towski Dove, 3 for 20. Mookie Cooper, 4 touches for 14 yards. Dominic Lovett, 3 catches for 8. Parker, 2 for 6. I mean, now, to be fair, they had a long pass to Nico Hay called back on a hold that didn't really affect the play. Chance Looper fell down on what should have been like a 55-yard completion. So it's not all on the quarterback. But the passing game as a whole, I mean, this is, you're talking, they made one play the entire day. And everything else is like extended handoffs. Is that the quarterback? Is it the receivers? This is what Drinkwitz is going to run? I don't really know. And again, I know it's a little bit crazy to focus on the offense when they scored 48 points and the defense had the day it had, which wasn't great, but I thought the offense was every bit as much of a problem in the second half. Breakfast King wants to know the odds Drinkwitz hires an OC in the offseason. It'll be interesting. I mean, first of all, to do that, he would have to fire someone. Because Charlie Harbison coaches safeties, and Aaron Fletcher coaches cornerbacks, I believe. And then Steve Wilkes coordinates the defense. DJ Smith is linebacker, and he has a defensive line coach. They have 10 assistants, and that's the most you can have. So if he's going to hire someone other than himself to be the offensive coordinator, then he would have to fire an assistant. My guess is he won't. This is what he's done. This is how he's done it. I think he will live or die with himself being the play caller. I see both sides of that. One side, why would you ask him to give up the one thing he does best? But the other side is there's a lot going on in a football game, and you can still call the plays without just being the full-time offensive coordinator. Andy Reid's the greatest offensive mind probably in football, and he has an offensive coordinator. Mike Leach, I think, has an offensive coordinator. I'm not 100% sure about that. Lane Kiffin, I know, has an offensive coordinator. Now, Lane is very involved, obviously, in calling plays, but he has an offensive coordinator. So it's a fair question to ask. I see both sides of it. And at some point, it's something we might talk to Drinkwitz about. Hey, do you think that's a thing that you need to consider doing to free up a little bit more time? So I do want to now open up the phone lines for you guys. There's the number on the screen. We're here on the Boulevard Brewing Company post-game drink. You can call me at 573-234-4935. If you call in, I want to remind you of two things. First of all, whatever you're listening on, please put that on mute so that your background noise and all of your conversation is not going to go over everyone else's call. I will call out your area code. If you're calling from a common area code like 314-816 or 573, I might have to read the end of your phone number as well. I will not read your entire phone number on air, don't worry. But it's the only way I have to identify people because I only get numbers. I don't get names that pop up. So if you want to call in, if you've got some thoughts, if you agree with what I'm saying, if you think I'm way off base, whatever, 573-234-4935 is the number to call. And we will jump now to the phone line, and our first caller comes from the 314 area code. Who am I talking with?
Hey, this is Zach.
What's up, Zach? How you doing, man?
Hey, I'll just be quick. I was just wondering if you had any updates on the Luther Burden trip and what his experience was with the game today, if you have anything on that.
We don't yet. Luther is probably still in town. We will try to follow up with him in the next few days. I'm not sure if he'll do that or not. He might just wait till he announces his decision. But no, we don't have anything from Luther quite yet, other than we know he was there.
All right, cool. That's all I had. Thanks.
All right, Zach. Thanks. Let's go now to the 864 area code. Who's on the line from the 864?
Yeah, Gabe. Just got through watching not the entire game. I was sort of wondering whether or not there would be a modicum of improvement. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything significant on defense.
Yeah.
But it seems like they took another step backwards. Not, you can't. It's not like going to McDonald's or fast food where things going to happen right away, but at least maybe a little bit better. I didn't see that at all today. I don't know if I did or did not.
Yeah.
If I saw the right thing.
I got through three quarters, and I felt like it was at least a little bit better, and then the fourth quarter kind of wrecked all of that for me. It wasn't as bad as Tennessee, but I don't think you come out of that. I didn't come out of that game feeling good. I didn't come out of that game thinking that any confidence had been inspired by the way they played in the second half. I don't know about you, but I most certainly didn't.
Yeah, I was totally disappointed, like you said, especially that fourth quarter.
Yep.
I almost threw my remote at the TV. It was terrible. That's all I can say.
Well, let me give you a tip. If you're going to throw the remote, don't throw it at the TV. Because just break one thing. Break the remote, but don't break the remote and the TV.
Okay. I'll take your advice on that one.
All right, man. Sounds good. Appreciate the call. All right, let's go back.
Take care now.
Thank you. Let's go back to the 314 area code. Who am I talking to there? 314, are you with me? Hey.
Me?
Yeah, who am I talking to?
Hey, it's Craig. How you doing, man?
Not bad. What's up, Craig?
Hey, dude, it's homecoming. Like, that's a big tradition for us, so.
Yeah.
And we won the game.
Yes.
13-point win, dude. We were in control. We never gave us the lead the whole game.
Yeah, I mean.
He scored couple touchdowns, 200 yards, and we did. I know you're negative about it, but come on, man. We
homecoming. Everyone comes back. I mean, I didn't come back. I was watching it at a friend's house, but big Wayne Ray. This is back off tonight.
Craig, I don't know if you're using like a voice changer, but you sound like Darth Vader. It's actually pretty amazing. But I can't hear you very well, man. Maybe try to call back in a little while with a better connection, but I appreciate it. We're going to move on now to the 309 area code. Who's there from the 309?
Hey, it's your best buddy, Dick. How you doing?
Not bad. What's going on, Dick? How are you, man?
I mean, I'm good. I think Craig was a little too positive, to be honest, over there.
Yeah, Craig seems awfully fired up for a 48-35 win over North Texas.
Oh, man, it was bad. I mean, we couldn't even cover the spread. We looked fine in the first half, got me a little optimistic, got me a little excited. But then we just keep letting all these big plays come through. It's like the defense started out strong, and nice to see the sideline supporting them.
Yeah.
And then it just felt like it died out.
Yeah. Missouri now 0-6 against the spread, by the way.
Wow. So now I know my bet for next week. Thank you.
Yeah, Missouri, Clemson, and Kansas are the only teams that haven't covered all year.
Wow. I think, honestly, I think we maybe win 2 more games this season. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your take?
No, that sounds about right. I mean, they should beat Vanderbilt. They could beat South Carolina. Yeah. It's not impossible they beat A&M, but I kind of doubt it. So, yeah, I think you're probably looking at 5 and 7.
Okay, yeah. Which, and then hopefully we get to start see Drink's recruits and see if he actually recruited good and see how he shows up in 2022 and then 2023, see if we can actually finally pull it together and pull off a great season, maybe go 8-4.
Yeah, I think next year you got to see a little bit of a step forward, better than 500, and then 2023 is the first year you start looking, okay, do we actually have a chance to make a run at this thing? So that's kind of my time frame.
Yeah, I hope so, and I hope that, I don't know, I think we got to do something with Wilkes and the defense. It's kind of getting scary at this point. If you're going to let up 35 points to a 1-3 North Texas team, it's getting a little scary for us.
No question. I agree with you, Dick. I appreciate the call, buddy.
All right, thanks again.
All right, have a good one. We're going to move on now to the 573 area code. Who's there from the 573?
Gary's here.
What's up, Gary? How you doing,
Gabe?
man?
Oh, Gabe. I called in last week and said it was one of the worst games I've ever seen. I didn't even watch it. I didn't care. But I watched today, and the running back situation is curious because I kind of had a conversation with you a couple weeks ago. We were kind of thinking that Michael Cox had gotten that second spot.
Yeah.
I don't know if he looked like he was in the doghouse. He had an argument with Beatty on the sideline.
Oh, is that right?
We were seeing Harris a lot. He's young, and was it Butts? Did we see Butts?
No, it was Harris and Dawson Downing were the other two guys that played.
Yeah, Downing, and then I saw Simi Bakari on the sideline, and it's like I haven't seen him in a couple of years.
Yeah, he plays
I'm
special teams.
Michael Cox is in the doghouse.
Yeah, the second running back position has been weird. I've kind of been tough on Drinkwitz for not playing anybody except Tyler Beatty. And then the weird part to me was in the last 3 drives of that game where you kind of needed him to close it out, you were going with the freshman and with Dawson Downing. Now, Downing got the job done, but
yeah, Downing did.
Elijah Young's only touch today was as a receiver. So I don't know what's going on at that position. It's definitely something we're going to kind of look into and talk about this week.
I say, hey, just give it to Downing. The senior, we're not doing nothing, and at least he can get a couple of yards,
Yeah, and he did a nice job there at the end. I think at this point, this is B.J. Harris's 3rd or 4th game played, so he's probably on his way to burning the red shirt, which is fine because you're going to need a replacement for Beatty next year. So, Gary, even though you didn't watch last week, man, I appreciate you taking part in the show, and I'm glad they got you back watching this week.
Sure. Could I just make one more comment
Absolutely.
about? I know the defense is atrocious. I'm not even going to tackle that, but Chris Turner, I'm sure he's a good kid and a great guy, and he could kick my ass. But
probably.
Good grief. good grief, has this young man ever made a play? He's gotten so many snaps. I mean, I've seen him since he was like a freshman getting snaps, and it's just not effective.
Yeah,
all right,
I mean, all
Love
right.
you, Gabe. Take it easy.
Appreciate it, Gary. Thanks. Hey, I've kind of said similar things about Chris Turner, but the fact is singling anybody out on this defense is bad seems mean because I'm not sure who I would single out necessarily as good. Let's go to the 417 area code now. You still with me?
Yeah. Hey, Gabe. It's Tucker down here in Joplin.
What's up, Tucker? How are you, man?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks. I'm good. Hey, so I want to say that, like, I know that his numbers were good again today, and I've held off on being too critical because I know, the first, second, and third problem with this team is the defense. Everyone knows that.
Right.
But finally today, watching Bazelak, I remember 2 years ago when he was a freshman, Nodom's last year, at the end of the year, he came in relief of Powell, I think, in the Georgia game, which was a blowout.
Yeah.
And then he started the Arkansas game. And I remember thinking, wow, this kid's got, like, what I call, like, juice. Like, he looked like dynamic, like the ball out of his hands.
Right.
And I know last year he was coming off the ACL injury, so I never really saw that last year. And I thought, I can't believe he's playing this quick after an ACL. I understand maybe why he's not all the way back and all this, but we're now like, almost 2 years from the ACL, and I still don't see, like, I'm not saying he has a Drew Lock arm, but when he was a freshman, I thought in his brief time, man, this kid's got a nice arm, and he just moved with looked like a good athlete.
Yeah.
And now I don't know, he doesn't. And I don't know how much of it is like confidence and how much of it's physical. I'm just wondering, and I'm not saying like he's the problem or anything. I just, man, I thought he was going to be better than this by now.
Well,
is what I'm saying.
My issue for most of the last year and a half has been he never pulls the ball and runs, right? He may run every now and then, but it's not much. Well, then he did that in the fourth quarter today. There was one, it was clearly like a read option, and he faked the handoff, and he kept it, and he kind of went toward the corner. And, I mean, I was just watching it going, how was this kid a wishbone quarterback in high school? Because he didn't look like he had the speed or the athleticism to really do it. And, look, college, this isn't – you can be a statue in the pros in the right system. You can't be a statue and be good in college football. Your quarterback has to be a threat to run. I don't know if you watched Arkansas Ole Miss today, but like
I did. I watched every snap. Yep.
Matt Corral leads the SEC in rushing touchdowns. He has more rushing touchdowns than any running back in the league. And it's an issue, and you said Bazelak's numbers were good today. I actually disagree. I thought today was the worst game I've seen him play.
Yeah, that's fair. I just meant he didn't kill us or anything. Yes, and I wasn't trying to say he was, the reason we were struggling. But I do think that, and I'm not even just talking about the quarterback run game, although I agree with you. You almost have to do that now. I'm talking like even like Drew Lock, who I think people thought he should run more too, but say what you want about Drew. Like Drew, when he threw the ball, looked like an athlete. Like he used his whole body. He looked.
Yep.
In Bazelak, I saw some of that when he first played as a freshman. Like I said, he had juice. Like the ball zipped out of his hand, and it just hadn't been the same since.
Yeah, and I mean, again, they averaged less than 5 yards per pass attempt. If you take away the 41-yarder to Hester, they averaged less than 4. I mean. And I don't know if that's because of Bazelak, if it's because of the receivers, or if this is actually what Eli Drinkwitz's offense is, or if it's some combination of all three. I really don't know the answer to that, and we probably won't find out for another couple years because my guess is he's probably the starting quarterback next year, but I certainly wouldn't put any money on him being the starting quarterback in 2023.
Well, in 2022, if he plays the rest of the season the same way, like no better, no worse, do you think this next spring is a lot more open competition?
Probably, yeah. I mean, because, look, it is a fact that he's not Drinkwitz's guy. Drinkwitz didn't sign him. And that's a factor. Now, look, I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody transfer out in the next year, whether it's Macon or Cook or Horn or whatever. I mean, it's just a lot of guys and kind of bunched eligibility-wise. just common sense tells you somebody's probably leaving, but I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. I think Basilak's a guy who's not going to lose you many games, but you're starting to see, is he a guy that's going to win you many games? And I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. I'll let you go. Thanks again, Gabe.
All right, Tucker. Appreciate the call, man. Thanks a lot. And do we have somebody else on the line? It sounds like I don't have anybody listed here, but it sounds like I'm hearing somebody. So if you're there, speak up.
Gabe.
Yeah, who am I talking to?
This is Montard.
Okay, what's going on?
Do you prefer cocks or butts?
Okay, well, excellent use of your time. I'm glad you I'm glad you called us, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Gabe. Have a good night.
All right, you too. That was a long time to sit on hold to ask that question, but I guess it was enjoyable for him. So hey, we're here. We're hosting an internet call-in show. We have low expectations. We know some shenanigans will go on. So appreciate you guys calling in. The phone line is open if you want to talk about this game. I anticipate this is going to be a little bit lighter week. It's North Texas. It was a 3:00 game. A lot of people probably going out for dinner. Some people might have actually come. The attendance, though, was about what it's been for the other 3 games. It was 46,000 and something. Probably a little bit lighter because it was North Texas and because, frankly, Missouri hasn't been playing well. Probably a little bit of an inflation because of homecoming. So came out 46,000, right about where they've been. Let's jump back to the phone, and we got the 314 area code again. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe, it's Scott. How you doing?
What's up, Scott? How are you, man?
I don't know. The first half I thought maybe we made some adjustments, and then the second half there was guys running like 50 yards down the field uncovered. It just seemed like the defensive line coach apparently doesn't know how to coach the secondary.
The secondary.
Either, so.
Well, and that was like the run defense was better. They only gave North Texas averaged 3.8 yards a carry. You'll take that number all the time. So the run defense was better, but all of a sudden now a team that can't throw the football was throwing the football all over you. And it's like, you plugged one hole in the boat and another one came up. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. At halftime, I thought, hey, all right, business-like win. Even after the third quarter, I thought, took care of business. It was boring, but boring's okay. And then the fourth quarter happened, and it kind of just destroyed anything that made me feel good about that game.
That last touchdown they scored, where our 2 guys just kind of like ran into each other, and he walked into the end zone for like a 70-yard pass.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that just like thumbed up the entire defensive season for Mizzou.
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest. I didn't see that happen because when Dawson Downing scored, I said, oh, well, it's a 21-point game with like 4 minutes left. I'm going to go get all my stuff set up in the office, and I'll just follow the box score and see when the game's over and go live. And then literally before I even got to the office, they had scored. So I didn't see that play, but it sounds like pretty much a lot of other ones.
The Vikings New Orleans play in the playoffs a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that one. It was like that pretty much.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's hard to watch, and I don't think it's going to get better. What's your prediction for next week? And I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think A&M's any good offensively, but North Texas isn't good offensively either, right? I mean, I would probably pick A&M something like 30-24 or something next week. A&M's got a really good defense. They might score defensively. I don't think they're any good offensively, but I'm not sure that even matters against Missouri right now.
I don't think it does. I don't think our stats went down this game either. So
run defense got better. Total defense did not get any better. Thanks for the call, Scott. I appreciate it, man. Do we have Anonymous on the line, or are you gone? I think Anonymous is gone. He keeps trying to call in, but it doesn't work. I'm not sure after Montard or whoever that was that I really want Anonymous to get through, but whatever. But again, the FCC doesn't control the internet. Let's go to the 417 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe, it's Stuart in Springfield.
What's up, Stuart? How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. So, I thought the D-line started playing a little bit better. We started getting some TFLs. granted, we're playing, a Conference USA.
Right.
It seemed that they at least got a little bit of a spark. Whether that be the D-line coach getting fired or not. But, did you notice anything at the beginning of the game where, at least they're not standing up and trying to look for something to do rather than being instinctive?
Yeah, there weren't gigantic holes where guys were getting 17 yards without being touched a lot. The run defense, did get better. I heard Trajan Jeffcoat's name. I heard Kobe Whiteside's name. Mekhi Wingo made some plays. So, yeah, they looked better up front. Now, they didn't look great, and then there were still some breakdowns, obviously, in the back end. But, they looked better. I think whether that's because of anything Al Davis did or anything Jethro Franklin was doing or a new voice, I don't know. But certainly that's what they will chalk it up to.
Well, yeah, exactly. When Jeffco got the sack, I forget what quarter it was, I even remarked to myself, I said, I think that's the first one he's gotten all year, and this is a preseason All-SEC guy.
Yeah, I think he had one in the first game of the year. Yeah.
Okay, so, one a month, isn't
right.
What I would call All-SEC, and I don't think you would either.
Oh, I don't think Missouri's defense needs to worry about having an All-SEC player.
I think we do pretty well in Conference USA. We may even win that conference this year, but the problem is we're in the SEC, and
Yep.
That's totally different conversation. Look, my problem is after the Kentucky game, I called in and I said, we saw fight. We saw guys that were at least enthusiastic, that were trying to be a part of a football team. Today, we got 4 or 5 guys. The most energetic guy is our ex-starting quarterback that's starting on a SEC defense. It's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I thought there was more fight and excitement this week than there was last week. It was a step in the right direction, but the second half was ugly. I agree.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
It's still, we got drugged in the second half because it looked like, we've gotten this one wrapped up, and let's go and hang out with the family or whatever after the game. Nobody wants to play a fourth quarter, 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch.
Whoever's on the line, you got to mute your line, man. Otherwise, I'm going to have to drop you, other than Stuart. I can't hear Stuart because you sound like you're banging your phone with a hammer. But, yeah, Stuart, I agree, man. Fourth quarter was rough to watch and kind of took away a lot of the things that made you feel good about the first 3 quarters. I don't think there's any question.
Exactly, and we get 12 of these games a year, and I set aside time, and I go to a couple games a year, and I buy the merchandise, man. I went to 573, man. I got me a sweet Powers that keep coming.
Awesome.
And it's all because of this program. And when they don't give me bare minimum, all 4 quarters, I can't believe I'm saying it about Mizzou football, but it's just, it leaves me with a deeper bad taste in my mouth than just a loss would.
Yeah, look, it's tough to tell anybody. Like, they've got to give you a reason to show up. And today they give you a little bit more of a reason than they did last week. But I understand anybody who starts saying, I wonder if this is worth the investment. I get it. They've got to give you a reason.
Well, I appreciate what you do, Gabe, and I'll stay to the end like normal, man. Thank you very much for what you do.
All right, Stuart, thanks, man, and thanks for checking out our sponsors. Let's go now to the 229 area code. Who's there?
Hey, what's up, Gabe? Sorry about that. That was my daughter in the back of my house, so didn't mean to.
No problem.
So I had to mute that. Didn't even notice it.
No problem.
But the reason why I wanted to call was, one, Allie Green, was he not playing? And I guess the other point I wanted to make, Rakestraw, I guess we can accept his lack of effort because we really need him in the secondary, it looks like.
Yeah, Allie Green is listed with 1 pass breakup and no tackles. I don't know how many snaps he played. But Ish Burdine had 3 tackles, so I'm going to assume he got most of the snaps that would have otherwise gone to Rakestraw. Abrams, Drain, and Evans played. I assume Ish Burdine got most of the snaps that had been Rakestraw's. And, I thought Ennis was treated unfairly last week. That was a bad look that was caught on video, no question. But if you think he was the only kid who coasted on a play in a 62-24 game where the defense never got one legitimate stop, come on, man. He was singled out, and it was never fair. And, oh, by the way, he was playing hurt too. So, he hadn't been great. But like I was saying about Chris Turner, singling out any one guy on this defense is kind of silly. I mean, I can't single out anybody who's been good, really.
Oh, that's fair enough. And I remember Drinkwitz really was complimentary of his fight. So maybe we are being a little too hard on him. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to counter what the last caller was saying. I mean, do we really think we're winning Conference USA? I mean, maybe middle of the road. But
I don't really know who's in Conference USA, if I'm being quite honest. I'm going to look it up here.
Does it matter? I mean, we barely squeaked by. I mean, they outgained us, and they're bottom. They're a bottom tier Conference USA team.
Well, actually, here's Conference USA: Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, Louisiana Tech, Marshall, Middle Tennessee, North Texas, Old Dominion, Rice, Southern Miss, UAB, UTEP, UTSA, and Western Kentucky. I actually do think Missouri would win that league, yes. There's not really a good team
Florida
there.
Atlantic. I don't think we're beating Florida Atlantic, and I don't think we're beating Charlotte. But
okay.
I think we would maybe have a winning record in Conference USA.
Okay, that's fair. I would, if Missouri moves to CUSA, I would pick Missouri to win that league.
Okay, fair enough. All right. My last point that I wanted to make was with the wide receivers, Lovett and Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cooper had a couple targets. How was he looking? Is he full speed or is he still 3/4 speed?
I mean,
what did you see as far as?
Drinkwitz said on Wednesday he was 100% healthy, and then he had one 9-yard catch and looked a little banged up, but he played later. But he had 4 touches for a total of 14 yards. He had one 13-yard catch. His other 3 touches, one of them was actually a handoff, went for a total of 1 yard. Dominic Lovett had 3 catches for 8 yards with a long of 4. This passing offense was, I don't know what it was. Outside of the 41-yarder to J.J. Hester, it was just toss the ball straight sideways and hope that guys can break tackles because they're not really getting a lot of blocks out there. And, again, whether that's not having trust in the offensive line, whether this is Drinkwitz's offense, I don't know. But the passing game today, I don't know how you could even see if Mookie Cooper is healthy or see what Dominic Lovett might be able to do, because every pass was pretty much thrown at the line of scrimmage and just, hey, see if you can make somebody miss. I mean, they did try to get each Lovett and Cooper on a long ball. Cooper looked open, and Bazelak missed him a little bit. Lovett didn't look quite as open, and Bazelak overthrew it anyway. So they tried a deep shot each to one of them, but that was it. The rest of everything was just right at the line of scrimmage.
All right. Well, I appreciate your insights as usual, and so hope you're right. Maybe we are Conference USA championship quality.
All right, man.
Thanks.
I appreciate the call. All right, we got the lines open. Somebody was calling in from the 404 earlier, and I think I cut you off because I thought it was your phone making noise, so that's my fault. If you're out there and you want to call back, please do call back. I didn't mean to get rid of you and blame somebody else.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. All right, man. Who am I talking to?
Hey, man, you're speaking to Eric, man, and I'm following from Georgia. You got that guy out there, Cox. We didn't see him today, but I don't want to talk about him. Listen, man, I saw some things today that was I tuned in because I wanted to see that, but I saw some things, and I actually took some notes.
Okay.
I saw Drink. I don't know if he's going to make it in the SEC, man. I saw some fundamentals.
Okay. Hey,
can I? Some fundamentals that really made me nervous.
Okay.
He didn't know how to close the game out. He had a blowout at halftime. He comes out the third quarter and does three and outs throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Why was he throwing the ball? I don't know. And he's throwing a bad, terrible defense back on the field after 3 plays. And he does this the entire third quarter.
Yeah.
I really don't understand his play calling, his decision making from a fundamental football standpoint. And I don't know if anyone else is seeing this, but regardless of and I'm speaking things such as personnel play.
Right.
When he's calling the calls that he's calling, he's not helping his defense at all. I don't understand, and I wanted to get your feedback on it. I know the game has changed, and everyone wants to be Mahomes, and again, the offense that he's running. I heard the caller say again that Bazelak is not your guy for that offense that you're trying to run. He doesn't have the athletic ability, he doesn't have the accuracy or the decision making, in my opinion. And Drink, I don't know if he knows you can't lose or play on this level at the SEC and keep your job. I just want your feedback on that, because I'm seeing some fundamental things outside of personnel. He's making them boys look worse than they are. I just want to get your feedback.
I will say, first of all, on the play calling in the third quarter, you're definitely not alone. I got a minimum of 5 texts that said that play calling was awful in that quarter. So a lot of people, and I tend to agree there. They didn't do anything in the third quarter. I tend to agree with you there. The bigger picture, as far as he's not going to lose his job this year. He's probably not going to lose his job next year. But I also agree there are fundamental questions. This is a guy who. You hired him after 1 year at Appalachian State. He has never built a program. That doesn't mean he can't do it. We just don't know if he can because we've never seen him do it. So he is, to a certain extent, definitely learning on the job. He's going to make some mistakes, and part of hiring a guy who's only been a head coach for 1 year and was, I think, 38 years old when you hired him is you're going to have to go through some growing pains, and you're going to have to go through some days probably that you're going, what the hell's this guy doing, while he kind of figures out how to do it on the job. And obviously the key is he's got to win enough to earn that kind of next phase. And I think, I don't think Missouri has a ton of talent by any means, but I think Missouri has more talent than we've seen so far this year. So part of that certainly is on coaching, and part of that is on the head coach. Next year will be important. They've got to look better next year. And then the year after that, they've got to win 8 games or more, I think. That's the year where if they're not winning 8 in 2023, I'll kind of go, I wonder if this guy can win 8. I think that's when I start to make my judgment.
Well, I maybe I just been dialed into football longer. I tend to not wait around and call a spade a spade. His background doesn't seem like a football guy to me. I don't know if how long he played, or, it's a totally different level of ball. When I look at his, the way he responds to certain things when it comes to the interviews and stuff like that, the way he sees the program, and he'll say one thing, and then when we get on the field, he doesn't make those adjustments that he said. And I personally just think, and hear me out, if he doesn't put those kids in a better situation to win, I don't think the school, there's too much invested alumni, fans, students. I mean, Mizzou has a history that I don't think they're going to wait 2-3 years to sit back and keep getting. We got Florida, we got Georgia, we got Texas A&M. We got all these games that are going to look real, real bad on us. And it's imperative. We're going to lose, but how bad are we going to look? And I'm going to let you go, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I appreciate it, Eric. I'd be stunned if Missouri doesn't wait at least 3 years. I mean, they don't have the money. And look, this isn't at Georgia, even at a place like Auburn and Florida, you can fire a guy and hey, go take another shot because it's easier to rebuild. At Missouri, I firmly believe this. They better be right on Eli Drinkwitz, because if they're not, it's going to be a decade before they're really competitive here. So I think they have to be right, and they have to give him time and find out if they are right. And I think Mark Stoops is a good example of that. I think Gary Pinkel is a good example of that. There are programs where you can just get rid of guys and move on to the next guy. But there aren't a lot of them, and Missouri's not one. I appreciate you're obviously a knowledgeable football guy, and I appreciate the call, and it's thought-provoking stuff. I'm just giving you kind of my perspective. I'd be really surprised if Missouri does that in the next couple of years.
All right. Well, thank you so much, man. I just want to say that. And MIZ.
All right. Appreciate it, Eric. Thanks for the call, man. Let's go to the 314 area code. Who do I have from there?
Hi, Gabe. This is Jeff in St. Louis.
What's up, Jeff? How you doing, man?
Hey. So where are you at on the Bazelak camp? I know a lot of people say he's that good. I think he's kind of injured, and I think that's part of why he's not looking so great, why he's throwing short, why he's not running. But I know that, the offense is just not looking really good with him running it right now.
I don't know.
What's
hey,
up, Jeff? How you doing, man?
From the 816 area code, if you just called in, please turn your line down or mute it, because I'm hearing everything, and I'm going to have to cut you off.
I think he's kind of injured, and I think that's part of why he's not looking so great.
816, please mute your line.
Not running.
All right. Call back when you can mute your line. All right. So, Jeff,
The
I think
offense is just not looking really good with him. Yeah, running it right now. I don't know if from the 816 area code, if you just called in.
Jeff, I'm going to answer your question. Hopefully you can hear me, but I can't talk with that huge echo. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
There you are. I got you. Bazelak isn't solely the reason they're losing games, but they kind of need him to be the reason they're winning games, and he's also not that. Now, I think I'm just torn. I don't know if the offense we saw today, is that the offense because Drinkwitz doesn't trust his quarterback, because he doesn't trust his line, because he doesn't think he has the receivers, or is it some combination of all of them? I mean, this offense right now, if you can stop Tyler Beatty, I don't know how Missouri scores on you, because they really, outside of Beatty, they made two plays today. One was the 41-yard touchdown to Hester, and one was a 60-yard run by Dawson Downing super late in the game. So, I feel like jumping on Bazelak is a little harsh, but also at the same time, they need him to do more than he's doing right now. I think he's their best option, but I don't think the way he's currently playing is good enough.
Yeah, I kind of think that way. I think it's probably a combination of a bunch of stuff. I think he's got numbers at wide receivers, but he doesn't have that go-to guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, the offense is basically it's all Beatty or bust.
Yep.
But yeah, the offensive line's not great. Defense kind of stinks, so I can see why they throw short and try to control the ball.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really look exciting or sexy.
Yeah, you just can't win SEC games if you're going to average 4.9 yards per attempt. I mean, that's not – you can't do that. You've got to make some big plays every now and then. And I think their problem is outside of Beatty, the only guys they have that are big play type guys are just young. Like J.J. Hester can do it. Chance Looper can do it. I think that Cooper and Lovett will be able to do it. I just don't really think they're ready to do it consistently yet.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Jeff. Well, I appreciate the call, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, thanks. Let's jump to the 816 area code. Who's there?
Hey, Gabe. How's it going? This is your buddy Barry Odom. And, a lot of people come on the show, and they ask, what does Gabe DeArmond think of this? But I don't think a lot of people ask, how's Gabe DeArmond? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to hear from you.
Yeah. Miss you, buddy. It's lonely down here in Fayetteville. Yeah, well, you should be on the way back from Oxford right now.
Yeah, well, you should be on the way back from Oxford right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you should be on the way back from Oxford right now.
Yeah. Yeah, tough loss.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you just called to check in. Rough day for your defense.
Yeah, I'm pretty used to it at this point, though.
Good deal. Appreciate it, man.
All right, have a good day, buddy.
All right, thanks a lot.
I'll call back next week.
Awesome.
See ya.
Little comic relief in the middle of the show. Hey, we can always use that, man. That's great. Especially if it's like clean and just good-hearted. I don't mind that at all. Again, we're on a freaking internet call-in show. Let's not take ourselves too seriously here. So, phone line's clear. If you do want to call in, it's 573-234-4935. We can keep hanging out here for a little bit longer if you want. Let's take a look. I want to take a look at some of the other SEC scores right now. Ole Miss beat Arkansas. Barry Odom just referenced that. Florida all over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's awful. Tennessee, looking like they might actually have an offense. 45-20 over South Carolina. Georgia 34-10 over Auburn. Georgia's just way better than anybody else. And LSU, Kentucky, and Alabama A&M underway at this point. I don't know what those scores are. Let's jump back now to the 816 area code. Who am I talking to? Hey, you there? Who am I talking to? 816 area code. Who am I talking with? All right. I don't know who we're talking with. Nobody there. But 816 area code. If you want to call back. I'm here. We can talk. Again, looking around the SEC, as we just were attempting to do, A&M and Alabama are playing tonight. A&M's here. Next, LSU is at Kentucky in what should be, I think, a pretty competitive game. Kentucky's favored, so be interesting to see what happens there. Again, just kind of recapping what happened today. Tyler Beatty was really good. Everything else was a little questionable. Mekhi Wingo made a big play. Trajan Jeffcoat made a couple. Chad Bailey played a lot more at linebacker. He helped some. Ishburdine replaced Ennis Rakestraw. Everything felt pretty decent for 3 quarters. And then the fourth quarter happened, and you just felt a lot less decent. I made the mistake in the SEMO game of saying the fourth quarter doesn't matter. And then we figured out over the next 2 weeks that the fourth quarter really kind of did matter. And so I don't want to pretend the fourth quarter didn't matter, because without that Mekhi Wingo pick 6, I mean, that's a lot touchier game down the stretch for Missouri, and that is not a good North Texas team. That is a team that had thrown for less than 200 yards in its last 2 games combined and scored 35 points in its last 3 games combined. They had 35 points and 305 yards passing today against Missouri alone. The defense didn't really get better. They just found a new way to be bad. They were better against the run. They had some takeaways. They scored. So they were better. That's not fair to say they weren't better. But they weren't better enough. And the offense was efficient in the first half. They had a short field. They scored 31 points in the first half. But then they just shut it down. I mean, there was just nothing there in the second half until Dawson Downing busted a run with 5 minutes left. So if you came in feeling bad, you still feel bad. I don't know many people that came in feeling good, but if you somehow came in feeling good, I guess maybe today, reinforced that for you. Still a lot of questions. I didn't see anything that changes what I think about the rest of the season. Really. I mean, this was a win, but it wasn't a win that made me think, oh, they really figured anything out. It was just a win because the other team was bad enough that they didn't have a choice but to win. Missouri won this game on the talent differential, I guess is what I should say. Even though they're not a super talented team, they clearly have more talent than North Texas has. And so they won this game because they had better players. I don't think they won this game because they really figured anything out. That's my opinion on the whole thing. Could be wrong, but that's how I feel. So appreciate all of you guys who were here with us, and I'm going to run through some of these comments and make sure I get to some of the stuff you guys had to say while we were on the phone, and see if there's anything we need to catch up on. KC Tiger is ready to start seeing the next guys. Stewart thinks that the defensive line looked a little bit better. They only have 5 to 6 guys able to play with intensity for a full game out of 35. Maybe that's fair. I think that's fair. Cole wants to see Tyler Macon. I'm not sure how big a difference that makes. Do I still think this team could beat Vanderbilt? Yes. Breakfast King, I didn't like any of the second half. I think that's fair. Did Elijah Young have more than 3 touches? No, he had 1. He had 1 touch. It was a catch. He was lined up as a wide receiver. He had an 8-yard reception. He did not have a carry in this game. B.J. Harris appears to be the second running back here. Floyd the Barber, until he signs, are you worried about getting burdened? Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially because, look, he was there with 46,000 people today and saw a blah performance. Like, yes, you should be. It is by no means a done deal. I think they certainly have a chance at Luther Burden, but yes, he's going to Athens, Georgia next week, and that should make you nervous. And I have not had anybody tell me Missouri's definitely getting him. So we shall see how that goes. Iowa just beat Penn State. Interesting to know. Also, I heard today that was the first game between 2 top 5 Big Ten teams that did not involve Ohio State or Michigan in 59 years. Iowa inside track to the playoff at this point. Also, I picked Iowa. I hope they covered. Team clearly played harder than they had been, Anthony says. I agree. They played – there was more effort and want to than there was in the Tennessee game. I think that was clear. Was there enough? I don't know, but there was more of it, certainly. Do you think Bazelak can read a defense, or is the play calling just that bad? We've kind of talked about that, and I know I know these comments were made earlier. I'm just catching up, and I don't have an answer. Spencer, strangely reassured by the run defense, sort of terrified that Drink gets in a rut with play calling. The run defense was better today. I mean, they gave up 186 yards, which isn't great, but it's not awful. But it took 49 carries. They averaged 3.8 yards a carry. You will take that every day. I mean, Tennessee averaged 3.8 yards a carry before contact. So you'll take 3.8 yards a carry. No problem there. Ryan thinks it's more O-line, can't keep the pocket clean. That's fair. Cole says there were receivers open 20 yards downfield almost every play. I don't know if that's true or not. I certainly can't see that from my view. Might be true. Can't say that for sure. Why do we give up every 3rd and 10 every time it's a screen behind the line or a run up the middle? Well, look, they don't really complete very many downfield passes, so I'm not sure there's a point to throw for that. Stewart brings up a really good point, and I think we should write about this week. Wide receivers cannot block. You're right. Like this offense, these jet sweeps, these screens, to work, your perimeter guys have to be able to block, and they aren't. Obviously, they aren't. I mean, I don't know specifically who isn't, but it's pretty obvious that it's not happening on the outside. So, so appreciate you guys hanging out with us and, calling, commenting, all that. It was a win. I don't know if you can say a whole lot more than that, but it was a win. So, Missouri's 3-3. 3-3? Yeah, 3-3. Texas A&M's coming to town, and really a bowl game depends on next week. You want to be in a bowl game, Missouri got to win next week. You lose that game, I just don't see any possible way, because I don't see how you beat Florida. I don't see how you beat Georgia, and after today, I don't see how you beat Arkansas. So next week is you're playing to get to 6, and I do think that is important. The difference between 6-6 and 5-7 is notable for this program and where it's at. So it was a week. I don't think it was a week that makes you feel a ton better, but it should make you feel a little better. It was better than last week, right? So want to thank one more time Boulevard Brewing Company. If you guys are on the way back home and listening to this or whatever, swing by somewhere, pick yourself up some Boulevard, either They got all kinds of really good beer. They got the Quark seltzer. They got the Fling cocktails. Get any of that stuff, and maybe sit at home and watch Bama and A&M tonight. Watch Kentucky LSU. Listen to a replay of this. Maybe you're listening on the podcast. Wherever you're listening, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up on the show. Subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, either later Saturday night or on Sunday morning, leave a 5-star review. Leave some nice comments. Share this thing on social media. Tell everybody what we're doing. Let everybody know about Boulevard. Do all those things that help us. Mitchell, Joel, and I will still have plenty more to come on the site tonight. Plenty more tomorrow morning as well about this game. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and we'll be back with more later on.